Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I'm back with a replay, but not any other ordinary replay, no. Oh man, words cannot describe just how excited I am to cast this. This is actually taken from the Acer Teamstory Cup, and I got the entire replay pack straight from the IG team, but let me go ahead and give both of the players their well overdue introduction. Spawning as our Red Terran. In the upper left-hand corner, I give you all EGThorzain RC. More or less RC. I mean, well, I don't see why it wouldn't be, sponsored by Raid Call, considering the rest of EG is. And in the lower right, spawning as our blue Protoss. Don't be fooled, his name is not Arch. It's actually the Jim from Invictus Gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Just give it up for this guy. 100% sick Protoss. 100% sick Chinese Protoss, excuse me. I really can't say it enough. Just the extent of the damage that they are capable of inflicting on each other. Like, not on each other. I just can't really describe it. I mean, EGThorzain, RC, just seeing the way he played at the Acer ROG tournament, if I remember correctly. And I believe he took third or first place at that tournament, and then after that he had since he had yielded results, he was given a contract with EG, and that's how they acquired him. But I don't know, like, ever since then, I'm not too sure how his performance has been. Should probably do a little more research on him, do some homework, things of that nature. And in the lower right-hand corner, of course, Jim. I can't say I know too much about him. I do know that he played for the Neo TV Star League, and well, I mean, come on, the Neo TV Star League. That's basically, for those of you who are not aware, it's the premier Chinese StarCraft 2 tournament. NeoTV.cn is the main website for, I don't know, let me think of it. It would be like the MLG of China for StarCraft 2. That's essentially the way to look. That is the quintessential method of looking at it. Now, I do apologize as my speech impediment has kicked in just a bit. I'm casting these replays possibly out of order that they were actually casted at the original Acer Teamstory Cup. I actually wanted to be there live and in person to cast the event in Chinese, but no one would, nobody told me. I was informed that it would be Zifeng Wang, also known to you guys as Hello Kitty SC2, the guy who's competing in MLG, and he's, I think he's a slowly on the rise personality, and no doubt I've certainly got to compete with him for viewership sometimes, but there it is. Just, informing you guys of the present situation of what I know and what I don't know, but here we go. Enough of the monologues, let's just go ahead and cast and see what's going to happen in this game. Starport is now going down for Thorzain, and with the build that we see presently, he is aiming to kill probes. That is exactly what he's doing. Now, one thing that would not surprise me at all is if this was, I'm trying to think. If this was actually not Jim and perhaps Max said, maybe they play under the same control scheme. They are both Protoss players. But that's about all I know. Here we go. Thorzain essentially forced to be a little defensive with what was originally going to be his harassment units. And it looks like we have Jim opting to throw away a Zealot, just get a read on what his opponent's doing, so he can just, I think that's a fair trade. I think that's all right. Now, I do want to apologize for anyone who is actually used to seeing my usual casting setup. That would be, say, the new interface as well as the, I'm trying to think, the health bar is taken away. Yeah. This time around I'm doing something new. Actually, like, Battle.net, as I am casting this, is kind of patching itself right now. So that's why it is the way it is. And I'll try and correct this in the near future, but Jim, going for his natural, it's already finished. Getting an Oracle out at the same time. And I'm a little curious as to just what he's going to be trying here in the near future. If it's one thing that is really, really super detrimental to Protoss in the early game, it is definitely, hands down, their production. Here we go. The medevac is now warping into two, or excuse me, not warping, but igniting its afterburners and running into the main. Are there going to be any Are there going to be any probe kills? Oh my god. That was just, no, that was not pretty. But luckily there's only been, even to this point right now, 2 probe kills, now 3, now 4-ish. And it looks like we got a medevac coming back in with some Marines inside of it, but of course that thing gets blown out of the sky and not a single other Marine touches the ground. I do want to highlight that behind this, both players are relatively even, and I want to say that we see we see Jim in a very strong state presently. Assuming that this is Jim, not perhaps Max said. Again, I apologize, I wasn't there for the actual flow of the Acer Teamstory Cup, which means basically the cast that you guys are getting from me is spoiler free for the time being. Getting Alpha units back into production. We have 2 tech labs coming down for EGThorzain. This has me wondering just what on earth does, what is he going to do with this? Okay, he's just cranking out Marines, but he's also upgrading things at the same time. Combat shields and stim at the same time, and using the factory for, of course, scouting. In case we haven't been able to tell by now, it is going to be a bio follow-up. I could have told you that when I saw the combat shields and the stim. Anytime you see more than 1 barracks, typically, like 99 out of 100 times at the pro level of play that you are seeing right now, you will see bio play. Alright. Now, both players just really, kind of playing the macro game, trying to play that game of workers, that game of drones, that game of probes, that game of SCVs. Oh wait, that didn't rhyme. Oh man. So, interestingly enough, I see this from Jim. He's continuing to crank out Phoenixes. I'm a little, just a teeny bit worried about what that could be all about. Two Phoenixes, 3 Phoenixes altogether. We do have an Oracle, the Oracle that he had since the beginning of the game, basically trying to make its way into the main and get some kills. He's gonna throw down immediately. Aw, what's the name of that spell? Damn it, I didn't even have a chance. Anyway, the point of this is basically, this is all the vision that Jim essentially has on his opponent. It's kind of limited, but it's also rather vital. It's kind of like Parasite from the Brood War days. Okay, March kind of moving out here. Excuse me, Jim moving out here. I'm pretty dumbfounded as to why they chose March, or chose to name this account March. At any rate, Phoenixes are over here. Oh, and they're actually getting worker kills, huh? Well, if you want to look at it from this point of view, I guess you could say that this is the most unexpected follow-up, but this is, a lot of bio that we see on the ground here from EGThorzain. But there's already, oh no, there's no Vikings in the mix now, are there? There's not even a good deal of them. That is amazing play. I never would have imagined. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can see perfectly well why Jim is top 10 Korean Grandmaster. He has mastered the art of war in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Yes, he's already miles ahead of us. He's top 10 GM on the Korean ladder. Could you believe that? He's from China. Meanwhile, we got EGThorzain trying to follow this up any way that he can. He's going super defensive with this. This is a hallucinated Phoenix, not a real one that's actually trying to get a scout out on the main and natural of EGThorzain. Viking over here, inflicting some damage. And this one medevac is left to do the chore of healing up all the stemmed Marines and Marauders. Behind this, we see that Jim is going for his 3rd, and EGThorzain is now visually aware of that, but it seems that Jim has very limited vision of this. There it is. He's got some stalkers en route to deal with the vision of his opponent. Also making a, you could say, sort of defensive line of pylons. I saw this earlier today when I was casting. I'm trying to think, what was the name of that? The Pro Gamer SC2 for Belgium. for Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands earlier today. I'm sorry, I had to actually stop and remember what exactly I was casting because I'm pretty sleepy. I'm running on like maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep, you know. Test this morning, but let's get back to the game. We got 3 Vikings being cranked out at a time, which I think is more than enough to deal with the Colossi that we see in the composition for Jim right now. Phoenix is being cranked out, just being cranked out non-stop. In fact, here's the overall number. I'm thinking this is actually really dangerous for you know, EGThorzain to go up against. You know, I think Jim, he's in a relatively safe spot. I mean, thinking about just where he is right now, I've never actually seen this kind of this kind of a composition versus Terran before. But I'm thinking it can be quite doable. Behind this, we do have more infrastructure, more gateways, and a Twilight Council being added on, which means we're gonna see Blink eventually start getting researched. Jim already saturated on a 3rd, and I think we see EGThorzain trying to put an end to this game right here, right now, but he's a little bit far behind. Jim has had his Expo now for a good deal of time, to the point that a lot of his mineral patches at the 3rd are already over 100 minerals mined. That means that means for each mineral patch, his SCVs have been on the mineral patch for at least 60 seconds. Meanwhile, Jim is actually, or excuse me, EGThorzain is getting geared up to put his 3rd down right now. This is actually giving Jim a favorable economic lead, and this is never where you want to be as a Terran versus a Protoss right now. So we have to see something, I don't know how else to say it, something super effective happen. Maybe a double-pronged harass in the form of drops, and then maybe an assault at the front lines with ghosts accompanying it in order for EGThorzain to really come back in this game and do damage both economically and to the main army of his opponent. Checking the upgrades right now, we actually... Oh, wow. I must be looking at this wrong. I must be. Jim has no upgrades. Not a single one. Zealot legs, he's getting... Oh, boy, here we go. He's going for Protoss air weapons level 1 right now. Wait. Ground weapons level 1 and 2 also? Okay, well, it looks like just as I clicked on the Stalker, I'm sorry, I read 001, so I thought that meant that, I read 000, so perhaps just as I said it, it was finishing up. Yeah, I did hit the G button earlier, so my mistake, guys. It was just a case of bad timing. Alright, +3 Terran infantry weapons on the way, and the trip mine pylon has been shot. Never want to see some Vikings just, you know, go in it like that, but here we go! That is a lot of Phoenixes, a lot of Vikings. There's not any AoE here. If there were EMPs, it would be beautiful. Now here we go, the huge engagement of the game. Oh my god, I think slowly but surely, we see EGThorzain is being eaten alive by armored piranhas on the ground in the form of Zealots. The EMPs on the Ghosts were not enough, and the Phoenixes are trailing slightly behind, but they have totally annihilated the Vikings, and I think we're going to see essentially EGThorzain throw out a GG really soon. I don't know how else to say it, but you know, once this 3rd falls, I think he doesn't have any way to hold this 3rd. When the 3rd falls, it's not a question of when the 3rd falls, it's wow. EGThorzain, he's just got everything nibbling, he's got everything biting his heels right here, and he just says, GG, well played, and that's it. Alright guys, this has been Breaker. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more games of Jim versus the EG team, or excuse me, more specifically Invictus Gaming versus the EG team. There's lots of talent here. There's Shigua, there's also Max Said, Xiang Yao, not to be forgotten about. Xiang Yao is also known as IGXY. Of course, there's one other guy that I am forgetting about. I'm thinking F91, perhaps? If not... No. I think, okay, forget it. F91, I'm thinking, is a possibility for this team. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.